Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July the 16th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Hopefully, you had a good Wednesday, a good hump day, if you will. Hopefully, you humped and didn't get humped, unless that's what you're into. If you like that, amen. Awesome. But no, today was good. It was solid. We woke up. Actually, I've been trying to sleep pretty well as I can, right? I feel like one of my problems that winds up waking me up in the middle of the night is the fact that I love to fall asleep with like my live streams on, and I've been trying for like the past like week and a half to really do that less. And it's been working out. It's been helping me stay asleep for longer and not just wake up at random intervals and stuff. So that's been nice. I will say though, I did wake up. I fell asleep a little bit earlier, like before 11:30, and then woke up like at two something, and I was like, oh, that's not good. I guess we're back. And I did a thing I shouldn't have done, which I got on my phone for a little bit. But then like I want to say maybe 15, 20 minutes into that, I was like getting tired again, and I'm like, let's try to go back to sleep. It worked. So overall, I'm as rested as I could be for the day. So that was good starting off. We go to work. Work was pretty good. It was lighter than I expected, honestly. So I'll take that. That's generally a good sign for the rest of the work week. So we love that. Then also I got a night, like we didn't get a work treat. They're just still skimping on us. I mean that seems to be the trend for the whole year, which is lame. Whatever. But I got a nice little a moment. Like one of my coworkers, they had brought some food out. And I was walking past. I was like, okay, it looked like they got a little chicken salad situation over there. It looks good for them. And they called me over, and they're like, hey, you want some? And I was like, yes. So I scamper on over, and they had some croissant rolls and this chicken salad, and it had cranberries in it. Now I know people give a lot of shit on the raisins, on the cranberries, and the what's it called, the chicken salad. They go, oh, that's some white people shit. Honestly though, that shit is good. I gotta be real here. I fuck with it. My black ass be fucking with that shit, bro. I gotta keep it a buck. I remember the first chicken salad sandwich I had that made me go, oh, this is actually fire, was from Chick-fil-A. And best believe they were putting some fucking raisins or cranberries or whatever in they shit. And it was yummy. It was bussin' out the frame. So I had this sandwich, and it was like a chicken salad sandwich for the soul. I don't know. It just made me feel better. It made me feel seen. It filled up all the holes and cracks in my day, of my week, I'll say. Not to say that I've been having a bad week, but a little bit of bad little mental health moments. Let's say that. I try not to put out all my messy wessy on the podcast. You know what I mean? But I was bumming for a little bit. And that really put a smile on my heart. So I was really happy to eat that with some coffee, because I got to stay up. But no, overall, work was well. Check that box. Then we go to the gym. Gym went well. We love that. Got on all my machines. Not too busy. So amen to that. We love that. Clap it up. Clap it up for a good Wednesday. Yes, yes. So yeah, that's been my day. Overall, it's been solid. It's been good. So let's go ahead and do our startup, and let's get into some news. Oh. I really do find myself very funny that it's like when things are going as well as they can, overall I'm not in like too much unbearable pain. Overall my car's not blowing up, the house isn't filling up with rodents. I still find ways to get bummed out. I still find my ways to get into predicaments or interactions that are not in my favor, that wind up coming out as a loss. And I'm like, Isaiah, why do you do this to yourself? And I'm like, I have to remind myself that it is part of the human experience. You're living and you're learning and you're growing, even at 30 fucking 4. You know, there's always room for improvement. And I sometimes got to remind myself that it's like, yeah, man, you got to still keep doing that work, you know? And I do feel like, as much as I do love the catharsis of like yapping about my problems on the podcast and then doing that and then being like, okay, actually I'm in a good place. I at the same time don't want this project to be a crutch like that. Like that's not, I just don't feel like that's the wave, that's the vibe. So I'm really trying to like actually do the work and not just lean on this to be like my little hidey hole for all my little emotional baggage. You know what I mean? Because this isn't the best place for it. Let's just be honest. You know, I can't spill the whole tea with y'all. You know, maybe in the DMs or whatever, I can get really personal about this, that, or whatever. But I try not to air anything out fully on a thing that I know anyone and everyone can listen to, not just in the great old state of Ohio, but like around the world. Technically, that's cringe. I don't even think the kids are saying it's cringe anymore, but I say it. I do. All right. We've done our startup. We're good to go. Let's get into some news. Our first story comes from ABC News. 20 killed in stampede at Gaza aid site, GHF says. At least 20 people were killed in an incident at one of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation aid distribution sites in the southern Gaza Strip, the U.S.-backed group said in a statement on Wednesday. The GHF said in a post to X that 19 of the dead were trampled and another was stabbed in what was described as chaotic and dangerous surge. The GHF blamed agitators in the crowd for the stampede. So as always, they are not taking any and all responsibility. More times than not, they are quick to say, "Oh, these deaths, this incident occurred actually outside of our aid site, so it is not even pertaining to us." And they say in this article, actually, it's Hamas with like weapons and stuff. There was even a Hamas with a gun, and they threatened, one of our aid workers. So da 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 da. It's like, oh, okay, man, all right, but it could also be that you are literally turning your aid site into a fucking killing trap. It's just a fucking snare for people because they have to come here and they have to get the aid. And it's so like haphazardly set up where they're like, hey, we kind of have to just stake out this area until it opens up for aid for us. And then, we'll be there. But that might mean us crossing in the night when we're not supposed to. That might be us actually having to huddle up in mass numbers. And then when it opens up, we all go for it. And you have situations like this. So it's like, okay, so you really want to blame the starving people for that? And the GHF, Israel's answer is yes, that's exactly what we want to do. We don't want to take any fucking blame for this. At most, it was a tragic error type shit. But let's keep reading. The Hamas-run Ministry of Health in Gaza said that 15 of those killed died of suffocation as a result of tear gas fired at the starving people and the subsequent stampede. The ministry said at least 21 people were killed in the incident. The GHF denied using tear gas, saying instead that there was limited use of pepper spray. I love how that is supposed to make this fucking better. So you have a whole crowd, a whole surge now happening potentially, and you're like, oh, well, we got to quell this. This is too chaotic. This is too crazy. Get the pepper spray. That's going to make things better. Like, there's no way around this. Like, you are treating people like animals to slaughter. Like, there's no other way to fucking perceive this. And they are acting like they are doing Gazans, like the Gazan people, a fucking favor here. And that they should get a pat on the fucking back. They're like, hey, we're not Hamas. We're making sure that Hamas is actually not even getting any of this aid. This is our job. We're doing the best we can. It's fucking bullshit, dude. And it is happening on a day-to-day fucking basis. I believe over 800 people have been killed in just this operation alone. Just this GHF bullshit. Taking the reins from the UN and saying, we can handle this better. Well, you've gotten over 800 people killed. At least 875. Let's see here. Let's talk about this new flag system that they want to implement. This week, the GHF unveiled a new flag system to indicate the status of its sites to Palestinians seeking aid. A red flag will be flown to signify that the site is closed, while a green flag will indicate that it is open, the group said in a Monday post to social media. Yeah, that'll really help people in the middle of the night when, they're just trying to make sure that they're here, and then they wake up and they get there and it's like, oh, I really hope this thing goes from red to green so I can get food, so I can get my flour or whatever the kit is going to be. So, I mean, it is a miserable situation that is happening day in and day out. But we're here to cover it as best we can. But speaking on Israel, we did talk about Israel and Syria, the conflict in that regard. I know today there was news reports of them hitting a base in Damascus, so a Syrian base in Damascus. Once again, they're saying this is in defense of the Druze community, so there's that. But that's a relevant little bit of news that I'm not covering so much today. But let's see. Our next story, we're actually going to take it to Cali from ABC News again. Authorities take custody of 21 kids in California while surrogate moms claim couple misled them. More than 20 children are in the custody of a California child welfare agency, while authorities investigate a Los Angeles area couple and whether they misled surrogate mothers around the country. 15 children were removed from the couple's opulent home in Arcadia after an abuse allegation in May, and another 6 living elsewhere were also located. Arcadia Police Lieutenant Colin Cialdo, I know I'm getting that wrong, mea culpa. They range in age from 2 months to 13 years, with most between 1 and 3. We believe one or two were born biologically to the mother. There are some surrogates who have come forward and said they were surrogates for the children. Sylvia Zhang, 38, and Gojong Zhang, 65, that is a gap, are believed to be the legal parents of all the children. Ciadadlo. There you go. We're going to say Ciadadlo. They were arrested in May after a hospital reported that their 2-month-old infant had a traumatic head injury, the result of a nanny at the home violently shaking the baby, Arcadia police said. The child was not taken to the hospital for another 2 days. Ciaralo said neglect charges were not formally pursued in order for an investigation to continue. The couple told police that they wanted a large family, the lieutenant said. That's wild. So you already had this blatant case, and sadly, in typical crime law enforcement fashion, they go, oh, well, we definitely know something's wrong here. This is bad, but we kind of need more evidence. We kind of need more reason to actually fully pursue this. So we're gonna launch the investigation now, but we're not gonna actually act, even though we clearly have a bad act and a child who has been abused badly, baby. So, I that's the process, I fucking guess. He said the FBI is also part of the investigation. A spokesperson declined to comment when reached Wednesday by the Associated Press. And this is never something you want to hear from the police, from law enforcement, but I mean, hey, it happens. So, I'm not familiar with how the surrogacy laws work. Ciadadlo said, we need to do a much deeper dive. And you know what? Same, buddy. Fucking same. But hey, I'm not law enforcement. I'm just a shitty podcaster. So, it's a bit different there, but also you're law enforcement, not a lawyer. So, it's what it is, whatever. And also you're a lieutenant. You're not the chief. So it is what it is there, whatever. TV stations in Los Angeles quoted women who said they were surrogate mothers for the couple, but that they didn't realize other surrogates were involved. So I guess they're either, playing coy here, or they just really didn't know how extensive this web was. And I feel like the gist of it is, well, why would they be doing this? Well, like they said, they wanted a large family. But I think essentially you have now almost like a money milling situation where you're getting potential checks, maybe? I don't know. Because, I mean, they're surrogates, so maybe not. It's not like it's an adoption thing. I don't know. I really, actually, now that I'm thinking about it out loud, I really can't even fabricate an angle that makes this fucking worth it. Not to say that it makes it okay, of course, but I'm talking about, what motivates you to do something so evil to children? Especially your own children. They're under your charge. They're your children. I really don't know. Like I don't see where you're making money here unless it's like some kind of tax kind of benefits or whatever. But like, there's no way that that's equaling out. You know what I mean? That's crazy work. Or maybe you're just saying, hey, we want to have all these kids and have them do X, Y things around the house and blah blah blah. And this is our family and this is our life and we're happy. I don't know what twisted dark nightmares are going on in these people's heads, this couple's heads. But this is a pretty fresh story, so I imagine there's going to be more details to come out. This feels like one of those stories where, like, maybe you don't get a movie out of it, but you definitely get, like, some limited TV series or some kind of limited podcast run. So I imagine I'm going to be able to get some details, in the near future about this shit. But definitely fucked up, Let me be the first podcaster to say it, baby. I don't know, uncharted territory here, but this is bad. This is not good. Don't do this. Like, it's crazy. You're going through all this hassle, and you're putting all this life into the world to just literally criminally neglect it and abuse these children. Like, that's wild fucking work, dude. It's real cruel shit. So I had to get the story up and out. So there's that. Now we have an update. We got to go to London. We're going all over the place. We're zigging and we're zagging today. From CBS News, men sentenced to over 4 years in prison for cutting down iconic tree. Now this is a flashback. This is a long-waited update. From I think 2023, way back when. 2 British men were sentenced to more than 4 years in prison on Tuesday for cutting down one of the most iconic trees in England, the Sycamore Gap tree. The pair were found guilty in May of what a judge called a deliberate and mindless act of felling the tree as an apparent joke. I'm not sure if we covered in May that they got sentenced and they got charged and they were found guilty. That's the words I'm looking for. I don't know if we covered that or not, but whatever. Here we are at the sentencing, whatever. Justice Christina Lambert sentenced both Daniel Graham and Adam Caruthers to 4 years and 3 months in prison during a hearing at the Newcastle Crown Court on Tuesday. The tree stood for nearly 200 years in a picturesque valley in northern England, right next to the remains of Hadrian's Wall, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The stone wall was constructed by Britain's Roman occupiers almost 2,000 years ago as a defensive structure, and the portion of the wall where the tree stood featured in a scene in the 1991 Hollywood blockbuster Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with Kevin Costner, bringing the bucolic spot and the grand tree some degree of international fame. So this is like a big deal. Like, I remember listening to footage or listening to coverage or whatever of people like sobbing like over this tree. Like, I think people got like proposed to, married, maybe even under this fucking thing. So it's a big deal. It has a lot of sentimental fucking value, and I understand that. Like, also too, like, there's no rhyme reason, there's no true merit that I've heard out of these two people that make it make sense. Like, I think they said they were doing it for like some kind of prank. Like, so you cut down this iconic tree and then you scamper on off in your truck or whatever. Like, what was accomplished in that? What did you gain from that? Like, it doesn't seem very jolly. It doesn't seem very fucking merry. Kind of goes to show that pranks fucking suck. I don't know if I'm pretty sure I've said this before. Maybe this is just one of those long-standing motifs. I fucking hate pranks. Pranks fucking suck. They're lame. They don't do anything. They're useless things. Very bad form of humor, in my opinion, and fun and entertainment. It's bad. Ugh, icky. So whatever the reason, they commit to this shit. They commit to the fucking bit. They chop it down. They do too much. And now they're in fucking trouble. On top of the 4 years, which also worth noting, they could have gotten up to 10 years. I think that was a maximum sentence. But they were charged also jointly 622, holy shit, I just realized there's a comma here, 622,191 pounds, or 832,821 $1,000. Jesus fucking Christ. That's so fucking much. I'm like, I'm reinterpreting that now because I realized, like I said, when I read it, I read that comma as not a comma, but a dot. But then, let's see, and then 1,144 thousand pounds to damage to Hadrian's Wall, which once stretched across the country from the northwest to the northeast England. So I don't know. When I initially summed this up in my head, I kind of was surprised that they got the 4 years, if I'm being honest. I really thought they were going to nail them on a fine, which they fucking did. God damn. Golly. But then they would like maybe do some community service or something like that. But like, I guess this shit is so iconic. It means so much to the people that they're like, nah, we want to throw you in we want to put you in a London dungeon, bro. They over the shit. They did not like that. They hated that. And then they fined them. That's crazy. Like, that's a lot of fucking money. I mean, granted, yeah, they're splitting it down the middle, but that's a lot of money. That's a lot of pound cake. You feel me? God damn. But yeah, once again, very dumb, very stupid. Like, there was no rhyme or reason for this. There was no gain. Not even like something crazy silly. Like, oh, we hated that tree. Like, I don't know. I need a story. I need a good reason for doing something so stupid and fucked. So yeah, that's us wrapping up that story finally. You know, I do love when I get to put a nail in a coffin. You know what I mean? When we get to close a fucking story out. It feels good. I don't know. So there's that. We can now ride off into the sunset. And by sunset, I mean we actually have to go into the Trumpverse. You know, I hate it. I don't like it. But, I mean, we got a couple of things that I wanted to run down that have popped up today. First one is from Reuters. USAID workers lobbied for weeks to save food stocks from destruction after Trump cuts. With 1,100 metric tons of emergency food rations nearing expiry, I've never said that word that way, expiry in a U.S. government warehouse in Dubai after President Donald Trump's aid freeze, it took a warning of wasted tax dollars for a top U.S. official to eventually agree to a deal for the supplies to be used, sources told Reuters. The deal saved 622 metric tons of the energy-dense biscuits in June, but 496 metric tons worth $793,000 before they expired this month will be destroyed, according to two internal U.S. agency, or according to two U.S. internal, or U.S. Sorry, let me run this back. According to two internal U.S. Agency for International Development memos reviewed by Reuters, dated May 5th and May 19th, and four sources familiar with the matter. So essentially, we are on some fucking petty shit here, it seems, that it's like, oh, well, we don't want to move it. We're done with this. We don't want to put any more time, any more money into these things. We just want to let them idle. And then people were mentioning, well, it's like you're wasting perfectly good tax dollars because we have that food ready to go, ready to be shipped out. And they had to beg and like berate these officials to get them even to move even that bit that they moved. And the rest of it, they were fine to just be like, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't fucking matter. And the sentiment here, I was thinking about like, how do I like correlate this? It feels like when you find out like a bakery you go to or whatever, maybe a store, has a policy on their food, their produce, and they just say, hey, at the end of the night, it's just more efficient for us to just throw this all away. Like it's useless to us. We got to get in a new batch the next day and we got to make more, whatever. We don't need this. It's a useless product. It's breakage. Throw it out. As opposed to saying, well, there's like some kind of food bank or some kind of like charity aid place that we could send this to. We could just drive it off at the at the end of the night, whatever, the next day. This could be useful to the community. Nah, fuck that shit. That's not a part of our thing. We're not doing that. That's essentially what the U.S. is doing here, is that we had a whole ass fucking program set up, because we've talked about this before. This isn't a news story. But, we had this whole program set up, and you could say, oh, it was a psyop to kind of just get attention, to convert people and use people, blah, 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 using our resources for that, whatever. I don't care. At the end of the day, this was aid. It was supposed to be this philanthropic thing that we did as a country, right? And it was, I wouldn't say it was working, but it was at least putting food in people's mouths in that regard. It was also doing other things as well. I think there was some like HIV stuff that has also been making the news this week where it's like, hey, that was a part of this whole process and it's frozen. It's locked out for people and they need that. And essentially, US is not coming back to the table to be like, oh, that's not our problem anymore. Like, we're just not handling that. But, back to the food, they're essentially just saying, hey, this isn't worth our time and it's useless to us. So, like, let's let it rot. Like, let's just let Dubai handle it and it's not our problem. It's out of our hands. Which is crazy. Like, that is wild work to me. I mean, you could maybe make the defense, I guess, of like, well, it would waste more money for us to like just dole that out. It's like, well, fucking do it. Like, it is a waste of money. It's a waste of tax dollars. At least use it for what it's intended for and then stop. Like, that's not so hard for us to fucking do. But alas, that was not a part of the Trump administration's protocol for this. And they said, hey, we're going to let it just flop. Which it's a real shame. I think they said in this article that the food remaining could have fed 27,000 people for a whole month. And I mean, that might just sound like minor numbers to you that you could blow off, but like, that's food in people's mouths that allows them to keep going just a little bit longer, if that, and maybe get to what they need to do. Like, get to the next place, get to the next thing so they can survive and keep living. It's crazy that we live in these times where it's like, damn, this shit was already bad, and we now have a president who seems like they are actively just trying to take a knife, a blowtorch, to just eating and everything that just seems like even close to morally or like good, whatever, wholesome, and it's just like, nah, we're gonna take that away, we're gonna shrivel that up, we're gonna tear it apart. Like, it's wild to me. It's insane. Because like I said, this aid could go to so many people, so in so many places, So goddamn, there's that. Now I wanted to segue to our last story. We gotta talk about the drug crisis in America, and I mean, if you know, we're about to really reintroduce it. But and talk more about this Trump administration and what are they doing or maybe not doing to combat it. So yeah, let's go ahead and take our last break and we'll close it out. Sorry for the sniffles. I don't have my Kleenexes handy, so that's unfortunate. Ooh. Oh, this is a random aside, but I forgot to mention it in the beginning on the personal news. Creatine update. Everything is still fine. Everything is still dandy. But I think, and this is me maybe doing a little bit of speculation, it's maybe more on me and my personal diet and less on maybe the supplement here. But I've been getting thirstier lately. And I feel like I may also be going to the restroom more lately, like urinary wise, the old number one. But I think that's just due to the fact that creatine, I forget exactly what it does, but it requires a lot of water. And I think it's like filling up your muscles with water or something like that, right? And that means then your water intake has to increase. And if you're not up to par with that, like if you're not drinking enough water, then you're going to get, dehydrated faster, right? Or at least feel the effects like that, right? So I think that's the issue there. And I think then I'm trying to drink more fluids at least. I need to drink just straight up more water, of course. But, of course, makes me go to the restroom more. So there's that. I mean, these are pretty minor things. And I think really it's just more of a highlight on the fact that I just should be drinking more water, period. Creatine or not. I think it's more of a me issue and less of the supplement. I will definitely stipulate that. But overall, it's been going good. It feels good. Weight-wise, we're not even at a full week yet. So, I really shouldn't say too much, right? But I haven't really felt like it's affected my weight too drastically, which I'm really hype about because that was my biggest concern. So I'm glad there. So yeah, I know I'm double dipping on the personal news stuff, but I did want to mention the creatine thing. So there we go. Let's see here. From NPR. Oh, also which NPR public broadcasting is kind of potentially facing, I don't want to say a full chopping block, but essentially Congress right now is, I think they're calling it a rescission thing. I forget what the process is called or what they're calling it. But essentially, they want to uh, pull back funding for public broadcasting for NPR and PBS. I believe the number was 15% for PBS and maybe 3% on NPR. Obviously, don't quote me. I'm just kind of freewheeling those numbers, but I have single digits for NPR. So I mean, it's not like a full gutting of this of these broadcasting, agencies, whatever. But it is a big blow to them, and it's also one of those things that's going to have really bad knock-on effects, where you might not see on maybe like the main headline or the main like apps or whatever. You'll still see the same kind of NPR. They're still able to like stay afloat in that regard. But like where they're going to have to pull the most is at like the local levels. So I've heard a lot of stories coming out of like rural communities about like, hey, like we're not necessarily NPR, but we get a lot of, I think like we put our news up like on NPR or whatever, and we get like funding or whatever via NPR, and that's gonna get like completely soaked up. So that's gonna completely hinder what we're able to do, what we're able to cover, how we're able to operate. And I mean, that's obviously very fucking sad, and that's very unfortunate. And then to hear like you have in those kind of places, that those areas and those bases, people who are like so MAGA pilled, they're so Trump pilled, that they're like, actually, this is great. I'm so sick of hearing all this LGBTQ news, and like, you guys need to get back to the basics. I'm only here to sell my fucking lawnmower anyway. This is dumb. Like, this, you guys are stupid. You guys have been stupid since COVID. We hate this. So I'm happy to hear that they're getting less funding. And it's like, dude, you're not going to be able to yap about your goddamn lawnmower. Like, you're not going to be able to get like, what is it? Severe warning, like shit. Like when there's a fucking flood, when there's a fucking tornado, like these are things that can help alert you, and you're not going to have access to that, like potentially. Like that should be something that scares you. That should be something that concerns you, on top of the Jeffrey Epstein bullshit with this Trump administration. But I know that the Epstein shit is way more flashy to talk about. A lot of people are talking about it. Hell, I talked about that shit. But it sucks that this administration sucks so fucking bad, y'all. It's just crazy. Anyway, let's get to our last story. Exclusive. Trump team withholds $140 million budgeted for fentanyl fight. What a twist. What a fucking twist. I thought that we were really fighting against fentanyl. That's part of the reason why we were putting on such high tariffs on, what was it now? Canada, Mexico, and China? We were trying to stop the fentanyl, right? We got to stop these countries from bringing all this fentanyl in. I guess that idea is going so well that we just no longer need to actually help people combat fentanyl in our actual country with our actual money. I guess we don't have to do that. All right. Neat. I fucking hate this shit. The Trump administration has delayed and may cancel roughly $140 million in grants to fund fentanyl overdose response efforts, according to 4 staff members with close knowledge of the process at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC. The staffers shared detailed information with NPR about the funding, disruption, and potential cuts on the condition of anonymity, saying they don't have permission to speak publicly about their concern and feared retribution from the Trump administration if identified, which I get. These are lives at stake, said one CDC staffer who has a role administering the addiction grant program, known as the Overdose Data to Action Program, often referred to as OD2A. The announcement for delays alone could trigger layoffs and program shutdowns. It could really start a chain reaction that's hard to come back from, the CDC staffer said. State and local public health departments fighting to lower overdose deaths from fentanyl, methamphetamines, and other drugs across the U.S. described the funds as crucial to their efforts. The last time a major national interruption of addiction care occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, drug deaths soared. So I think it's safe to say that most likely this is going to become another issue again, just from this decision alone. So essentially, what we have here is you have Trump, who ran in a whole good chunk of his campaign about saying, we are going to fight this. We are going to beat fentanyl. We are going to get rid of it. I'm going to target all the pain points of this shit and make it go away. And now he's in power and he's not doing any of that shit. And if anything, it's slated to get worse for the American people, because we are going to have less of a defense in terms of like having programs to track, to keep and take care of people and like help them really fucking beat this shit. So, you know, I love that. I love that for us. I think that's so great. Let's see here. Was there really anything else I wanted to pull? No, I think we're good. I mean, there's a lot of numbers and stuff in this article. You know, obviously details. They are important, but I just felt like I needed to talk about this shit because it's a fucking shame that people buy like all the lines this guy says, all the lines that Trump says, hook, line, and sinker, and then you have him come into power, and essentially any and all times he just does a thing that's actually not advantageous for the American people. Like, he just shoots us in the foot every fucking time, makes things fucking worse for whatever fucking reason. Usually for some probably evil machination. I don't know, man. I know I'm like making him like this doomy fucking guy, but it's crazy that self-interest of these 1% fucking people and these big fucking corporations matter so much more than like real fucking American lives. You know what I mean? It just, ugh. It really bums me out. It really makes me fucking sad. You know, to see this shit in actual practice. Because once again, you and I, you know, all of us know that the tariff shit on the fentanyl thing was bullshit. It was vaporware that he was selling to the American people to try to, you know, sell these tariffs, whatever. But then to add insult to injury to say, or injury to insult, I don't even know here, both, to be like, hey, I'm going to withhold the funding that we were actually using to combat fentanyl in America. We're just going to like use that for something else, some other thing. You know what I mean? We got to make sure once again that our fucking, you know, Elon Musk of the fucking, you know, country or whatever, and these corporations, make sure that they get theirs. Make sure that their shit gets padded. But meanwhile, you're not going to have a place to detox. You're not going to have any like drug saving tools. Nah, it is what it is. You know, let law enforcement sort them out is essentially what it's going to boil down to. So it sucks, man. It makes me really sad. It makes me really mad. But that is where I will leave it for today. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's a free action that helps out a lot. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Any platform you're on, I'm probably there. Hit the like button. Leave a cool comment. That's also very helpful and very cool. Sharing is caring. It can be fun. And then last but not least, it really, none of the other shit I just mentioned, it doesn't matter. It's whatever. Like, speaking of vaporware, I don't care about it. Just the fact that you tune in, even if it's just for the minute, just to say, hey, I love this dude and I want to make sure he gets his numbers for the day. So this is part of my dailies. I thank you. Mwah, kisses to you. If you are an avid, real-ass fucking listener and you not only tune in for like the one part of me yapping and complaining and bemoaning my life, my precious little life, or you're here for the whole fucking kit and caboodle, the whole hot dog, happy National Hot Dog Day, whatever, thanks to the Glizzies, you want to hear me explain news poorly, but to the best of my goddamn ability, you know, under the substances that I may not be taking, whatever. You know, I appreciate you so damn much. I wish I could kiss you on the forehead in like a non-parasocial way. You know what I mean? Like a cool homie way, like, or in a way that that is fine and cool for both of us. You know, like cool shit, G shit, homie shit. No, you really do mean so much to me. I think about how I'm gonna approach these episodes every day. And I try to come as correct as I can, but I also know that at the end of the day, it's just kind of a kickback for, you know, anywhere from 10 to 45 or so minutes, you know, and it's just a little fireside chats between homies. That's the way, but it's a one way, you know what I mean? But you could always hit me up. It's always a thing. Like I said, I'll let you know how to get to me. But anyway, that'll be it. So thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye.